Yo, what's going on? What's good, everybody? Another episode, another edition of Self Love, and I'm not riding solo dolo. I'm with the usual gang, Abuti voice.
Yes.
What's going on, brother?
That's what's going on.
I'm good. And
I was about to ask, bro. Like,
Hey, what's up?
I feel like you didn't give me a chance to ask.
Oh, you were really answering.
You're doing. I feel like I'm this nonchalant person.
Okay. Nah, I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
I'm chilled. I'm a bit tired, but I'm good.
Nah.
I'm good. I'm ready for the episode, yeah.
I was tired yesterday. Traveled to the Northwest over the weekend. But yeah, I'm good.
What was happening? Another wedding?
Funeral.
Ooh.
Okay.
Excuse.
It was a funeral.
Close family member?
Yeah, very close. Somebody who raised myself and my other cousins. So her son, we grew up quite close, him and I. And I was saying this to my wife, like over the weekend. I feel like I'm so desensitized when it comes to like funerals. It feels like there's no emotion in me whatsoever. And I think this is based on the fact that I lost my grandmother and she was like the love of my life. And I think after that, it's just like...
You know what? I think it's also age. You know, the older we get, the more of these things we start attending. And we start realizing that this is also just the cycle of life, one.
Yeah.
But also, two, like you're mentioning, once you've had that one great loss, I don't know. I know it sounds very harsh to say this, but like sometimes in comparison, it's like you don't have anything left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But condolences to you and your family.
Thank you.
I hope everything went well.
How was Namibia?
I haven't got yet. What do you mean? This weekend.
It's
We're
this
rocking.
weekend. Oh my
We're
goodness.
still on the way.
I thought like it was last week. Oh, it's this weekend.
Yes.
A lot is happening most this weekend.
Yeah, I came month end, I guess. So we couldn't do it last weekend because nearly Mampara week. But month end, we're rocking. I'm out there this weekend.
Yeah.
I need to make sure I find my passport.
Hey, dude.
What time are we leaving?
I was about to say, like,
Have you booked your flights? Because
Cosmo,
I have.
you need to start making us part of your ride.
Oh, really?
Come with you wherever you go. Especially if we're traveling outside South Africa, you know. It's like, yeah. But good to see you guys. It's another week.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was announced maybe like 30 minutes ago that there was parts of Cape Town International that were burning.
What?
Yeah.
Burning
Cape
how?
Town's on fire.
The airport.
Hey, man.
That's crazy. How?
Somebody said it was something that has to do with like electrical what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes it's a conspiracy. Maybe they are vetoing the wall, the Great Wall of Cape Town. So they're trying to say, don't come to our airport, hey, if you want to put up a wall.
Like, is this like for real?
For real,
It's
bro.
bad.
That's crazy.
It's not like, I don't know how bad it is, but it's not the entire airport.
Yeah, it's just a portion.
Yeah, it's just a portion of the airport. Yeah, so parts of Cape Town International
wasn't
Airport
aware.
have been evacuated after a fire broke out in the building near the international terminal on Tuesday morning. An airport employee said the building was filled with smoke and suspected that it was an electrical fire. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Excuse.
You know how the timing of life, you know, things happen mysteriously for whatever reason that they do. But I hope they actually sort it out. I mean, you know, Cape Town Airport is actually quite busy, so we can't afford to have those losses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got enough problems in our hands. We can't be sending money to fix the airport.
We really can't be. Eh?
Honestly.
No,
But yeah, I hope nobody was hurt. I think that's the most important thing.
Nothing
Nothing
of
indicates
that
that,
nature
yeah.
was reported. Yeah.
As long as the people are safe, then you know, the internationals, the Europeans can fix the airports since they use it more often than we do.
They actually do.
You know, somebody actually posted something yesterday on Instagram, and they were like, "Yeah, I just came back from Cape Town this past week, and you know, if there's one thing that I feel is really missing in Cape Town right now, it's South Africans."
That is.
And I said, "Whoa,
It's a lot.
That's crazy.
But there's truth to that.
yeah, there is."
So much truth to that.
Ish.
Guys, I want to set the scene of today's conversation by playing this video again. I feel like I'm playing a lot of videos this week or recently.
Mr. Video.
Yeah, man, Mr. Video, that's literally me. Check this out.
What began as an initiative to develop affordable sanitary towels for learners who miss school during menstrual cycle has led to an alarming discovery. The study, which took over 3 years, uncovered the presence of hormone-disrupting chemicals in sanitary pads and panty liners tested. These menstrual products are widely used by women and girls across South Africa. The findings revealed widespread contamination across all products tested, with every single pad and panty liner containing at least 2 of the target chemicals. Although the chemicals were detected in low concentrations, researchers warn that long-term exposure raises serious health concerns and warrants urgent attention.
Problem is, many of them look similar to hormones. That means when they are getting inside your body, your body starts to get confused. It blocks the normal hormones, and it might lead to several different disorders, including things like infertility, endometriosis. That's what studies have found. Even cancer in some cases. So we looked for those chemicals across a range of disposable pads.
The study focused only on the section of the pads and panty
I'm
liner.
going to stop it there. You came to mind when I saw this.
The only girl in the room, of course. I mean,
And it's like, WTF?
yo,
Mas.
the girls are up in arms. The girls are going crazy. It's gotten to a point where we're all sitting back and we're just like, we don't know what our other options are. I actually, when this news came out, I had actually gone to the store to go and check, because I needed to also, kind of re-up on my supply at home. And literally every single brand that was mentioned in the study is on the shelf. There is no other option.
Yeah. What-
There is 0 options. If you're going to use sanitary pads, there's no one brand that is sticking out to say, okay, Tina, we are safe. The rest, no. Every single brand that is on the shelves, I think I went to 3 different stores. I went to Pick n Pay, I went to Checkers, I went to Clicks. I didn't go to Discount. But nonetheless, literally, there are no other options. We are doomed.
So you have to, wear.
But that's the thing, is that they're not giving us any other options. And the sad part is that you can tell that maybe all of these things contain the same hormones because possibly coming from one manufacturer or whatever, or maybe they follow the same process or whatever the case may be. It's actually so scary that we depend on these products every month. We depend on some of these products every day, and we have no other options.
Somebody was talking about Lerato Khanyago, that she has a line of sanitary pads.
Yeah, but do you know what the thing is? I've got nothing against her and her brand.
Okay.
Right? The reason why I'm on the fence about it is that at some point when Lerato was creating her brand of sanitary pads, she'd had to go to professionals. She'd had to go to people who've done this before, because she can't create a product that doesn't measure up with everything else that's on the market.
Right.
So which means she might have gone to the same suppliers, the same manufacturers, gone through the same processes. So just because she's not listed on there doesn't mean she's possibly not at risk as the other brands are. You would make sense that they would have tested the more popular brands, because those are the ones that everybody else is using. Hers might not be on that list because they just didn't bother to test it. Also because she's only stocked at Clicks. She's not at a Pick n Pay, at a Checkers, at a Spar, at a ShopRite, at a whatever. Do you know what I mean? So there's less likelihood of people buying it as opposed to the other brands. I'm not saying she's part of the list. I'm just saying there is a possibility because in her research, she would have had to go to the professionals who have done it before, which is everybody else who's on the shelf.
Did you chat to your wife about this? What did she say?
Yeah, man. What's crazy is I don't know if the news had come out or what, but it was actually on Tuesday after the shoot, after we did an episode. She sent me. Those types. When I get sent, they send me images. if you don't send the image, I'm gonna get my own thing. So she sent me the images.
Can't read. Only deals with the pictures.
I want the picture, me. I'm gonna get you.
It's a visual man.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you Norox sanitary towels brand. But yeah, so when she sent me that, and I went to the stores, I think shortly after that, that's when. But I didn't find that like the ones that she wanted. Only when I got home, it was like a thing of like, hey, did you hear about this and whatnot? So I'm like, is it everything? Everything? Because now it's like, there's really not enough options. There are not a lot of options, and only now actually it clicks over. It clicks over like there aren't many options when it comes to this, you know. And it's like, yeah, but you need it now, you know. Like, so what's gonna happen now? So what I was asking, or what I was trying to find out is it a thing of like there are those spoiled ones that are part of the research or whatever, or is it everything that's on the shelf right now that's maybe contaminated or has issues or whatever the case? And I think that's where like my conversation is right now. Yeah, just trying to find out, is it everything? Like, is the study saying that everything that's on the shelf might have issues, or is it a thing of like they found like a
bad batch?
Like a bad batch?
No, so according to the video number one, but also even with all the other conversations that have happened online, it sounds like it's a process. This is the process they follow, and this is the implication of the process that is followed in creating the sanitary pads. And long-term use will have these effects. And it's scary now because we're having these conversations. I had this conversation with my girls over the weekend because we're all panicking. And you must remember also, for some of us, our bodies are changing because we're also over 30. So different hormones are also starting to come into play. Perimenopause is starting to become a conversation for other ladies. So it's also scary even for some of my friends who are moms to girls, where they need to now concern about, okay, what do I do to my daughter because she can't go through what I'm suffering through. And it just feels as though everywhere we turn, there's always something that is causing cancer. Whether it's in our food, whether it's in our drinks, whether it's in our products, whether we can't operate, even in our hair. Apparently there was something that also came out last year where there were certain products that we couldn't use, relaxers, treatments in that even braid hair pieces that were causing cancer if you use them for a long period of time. So it's like at every point where we turn, cancer is bogile. We are ready. We are doomed. We are doomed. Basically, we must just go back as Lalin and go and live there by the farms. We'll be free from all of this mess because what the hell?
You know what I wanted to ask? When such news come out and it's in a sense of like a study has come out and all of those things, do industries have wars on each other? You know, and I ask this because I'm like, does the beauty industry look at, okay, the sanitary world seems to be thriving, what can we throw at them that will, you know?
And like, so like a Nando's.
Yeah, like but I'm just saying it from conception, you know, like do they plant these type of things where they like there's an attack, they launch an attack on an industry? Because for me, I feel like it's a timing thing, right? It's always like a thing, because sanitary pads or sanitary towels have become like a very donation gesture, you know, in its inception, in a sense. Let's help, like when you try and help out, because I also used to like help out girls back at home, but it's like, does the beauty industry like look at it? Maybe the hair products, they're like, they're thriving too much, and because who like when a study comes up, like who's the first person to be like, actually, let's go test this thing, and who tests it after the news have come out or whatever the case might be.
I see.
So for me, it's just like the, what do you call it, verification process of like, vele, this thing, what are the doctors saying, you know? What are the professionals saying, or like the experts saying, you know?
I suppose that's where academia comes in. So in my opinion, I don't think there's war amongst each other. In fact, my sentiments are that you have same people, owning these different brands across multiple industries. That's how I see it. And that's how they remain rich, right? But then you see academia, because this was from the University of the Free State, right? So you have people in academia who are looking at what's happening. In fact, in one of my in my class, my master's class, one of my colleagues, we would call each other colleagues, he did his research on the what is it again? NHI, the NHI bill, right? And recently, Ramaphosa put pause on that, right? So I think that's where the importance of academia comes in to say, hey, what's happening in the world? Let's do research on this, that, and the other, and let's shine a light on what people may not know. But in terms of like these people like starting war against each other, I don't see it.
Look, I mean, it's not impossible, right, what you're suggesting. I just don't think it's the main driving factor right now. If I were to look at it holistically for what it is, I honestly just think it was just a study that was done because they needed to kind of... There's certain labs that are paid just for research, just to check what is happening in different industries, especially because all these findings are coming out in recent years. Like I said, there was also a study done on hair products, specifically for black women, where even the hair extensions that we're using might, over a long period of time, might even have cancerous effects on the women who are using it. So that could have also been a study as much as this was a study. You would also find that it might also be triggered even with medical research or statistics, because sometimes they also then say, okay, when a doctor has to diagnose a patient, then they need to then report how many people have been diagnosed with certain cancers or diseases or whatever the case may be. So maybe that information is also kind of leading towards where is it coming from? Because there's definitely been an uptick of cervical cancer and people so there is preventative measures. I mean, women are implored to go for pap smears to check for these things, as well as different tests and stuff that you would get from your gynecologist. But there's only so much that can be done in that space. Why is it happening? That's the question that we need to figure out, and how can we prevent it? Yeah.
It's crazy, nah?
It's wild, man. Yeah. It's wild because the reason why I'm asking this is because how all of for lack of a better term, like a trend, say in a study, like for instance, taking it back to when we had Bullist Oasis.
Yes.
Remember Poloni and whatever. And the reason why I'm asking is because could it just be a thing of there's a bad batch that's gonna come, maybe 100,000 supply of Poloni was infected or infested with something, and that's that on that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's every single thing that's on the shelf. You get what I'm saying? So now, the reason why I'm asking is, could it be that thing? It was a matter of a bad batch. And because, like what you were saying earlier, it could be a thing, they come from more or less the same supply. It's just the branding that's different. And also, because things like sanitary pads, or sanitary towels rather, things that are also advancing in technology, right? There's this thing, there's a new So what comes with new technology could also be a thing of like, but what changed? What do they have now in the towels that maybe the previous generation or the previous generation of sanitary towels didn't have. Yeah. And then that could possibly be like a factor.
I mean, you're right. I mean, the changing of the process definitely plays a part, because then if they are saying now it's fast absorbing and it does this and that, and then maybe it crystallizes as soon as it's absorbed in or whatever, those things, how is that happening in the towel?
Yeah.
There's obviously some sort of chemical that needs to change the liquid once it gets into the towel. So I think it's things like that where over time it's obviously then affecting women. Whether there's a bad batch, personally, I don't think so. Because I think it is a process, and it is a process of how they're making it, what they are doing to them to make them fast absorbing, and this, that, and the other. When you've got something like a listeriosis, those things are sometimes also affected by the animals themselves, because you must remember with food, it comes from a living thing first before it's then processed into polony and whatever the case may be. If there is a specific disease affecting animals, then that will then filter through into the food. Whereas this is a object or like a thing that is created
in the lab,
and that is a process in the lab. It's not affected by whatever disease is happening right now in the world, maybe the water or whatever. No. This is whatever is happening in the manufacturing process is what is affecting us.
Yeah, look, if it's a bad batch, we get one or two, then we can attribute that to it being a bad batch, but it's like everything on the shelf.
Literally every single brand.
That's crazy.
And the sad part is that then they say to you, okay, cool. Because then I saw some screen grab where it said, look for a product that has this wording OTech or whatever, OTech 100, and it needs to say it's been verified by whatever. I literally looked at every single brand when I was there on the shelf, looking at the packaging, and to see if it says tested with what, tested with what. None of them say tested whatever. None of them say that OTech whatever. You can sit. I sat in the shop maybe for 30 minutes in the same aisle, looking through all the brands. None of them have that wording where you're supposed to say tested safety or whatever. I'll have to find it and then we'll put it up on the screen. But
You guys are guinea pigs.
Yeah, what's
and
the
it's
plan
always
now?
us, the women who are always suffering. You guys just get up.
Get up.
And sometimes you don't even shower, you move, and then
I
you're
never
living
shave.
life. See, now we're always suffering at every corner. It's always the women.
But
It's so unfortunate.
is there anything that's been done about it, or we move?
It's a new development. I mean,
Yeah.
it only came up last week. So I think for now it's a case of how do we fix it, or what are the different options. I spoken to a friend of mine this weekend who says, she had been using menstrual cups for the past 10 years. And I was like, oh, those things are scary. But it's an option, and I think it's one of those things where now women have to start looking at different things, because now is a time where we're looking at, because they had even said in some of the reports that we need to start looking at getting reusable sanitary towels. It's basically just wash.
Diaper, you-
Basically, it's a diaper. You wash it, you use it again. That's essentially what it is. I don't think a lot of women in South Africa have the time for that. Or rather, let me say the women in Johannesburg who are working individuals. Maybe as Lalina it might be a different conversation. But here, I don't think we're prone to, doing that. A menstrual cup is an option. Some people are okay with it. Some people are comfortable with different products. That's why there's different products. There's tampons for a reason. There's applicators for a reason. There's pads for a reason. There's panty liners for a reason. Because they all serve a different purpose. Some people prefer one option, other people prefer another option. The other option is to go and get the injection and stop it all
Hectic.
all at once.
Jovis.
But when you stop that, it just means you're not going to have children. And are you going to have that conversation with your husband and to say, maybe you stop it now because it's convenient for your lifestyle. What happens in 5 years when you get married, or maybe you meet someone, maybe your life and your choices change and you do want to become a mom, but you've made that decision to stop it altogether.
Has there any
Catch
been
22.
statements from these brands?
Nothing.
Bro, even if they made a statement, you need to understand it's going to be a PR exercise. Yeah, they'll tell you what you want to. And this is what I've come to learn with pharmaceutical companies or people creating products, for human beings. Oftentimes, it's a PR statement. So they'll tell you what you want to hear. Will they change what the process? Because remember, business, you need to understand the concept of business. Business works in this manner. It's demand and supply, right? How did we end up with a monopoly with Eskom? There's nobody else, right? And you look at these people, you were talking about these cups right now. But we've evolved as a society. No woman is going to want to use that.
I mean, look, like I said, some people are comfortable with it. My friend's been using it for 10 years. She's more than comfortable with it. She says it works for her. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm panicking because I'm like, how dare. But now I'm thinking about it. Because rather that than me being exposed to cancer. Do you know what I mean? It just means I just have to be brave. And it's also not even every day. It's literally 3-4 days in the month. Some people 7 days, obviously depending on how long their periods are. But sometimes you just gotta, be strong for those couple of days and keep it moving.
But yeah, Sech, literally PR exercise. That's what I think. They might come out and say, hey, what. They don't care. They don't care. They want to make money.
It's wild. But then, like I said, these things we need to openly have these conversations because it's not just affecting, maybe for me, because I'm older now, it might be quote unquote too late. But then I need to think about my nieces and how they need to grow up in a world. They need to have better opportunities than me. Because clearly this thing is coming at a point where we need to be able to stop it. So it doesn't affect and it doesn't increase the chances of cancer at a later stage.
Yeah.
Then they say, oh no, it's hereditary. It's not hereditary. It's coming from the products.
100%. Dude, do you know there's a cancer bra? Like for people who went for chemotherapy? There's a cancer bra. It's a special bra, né? It is so expensive. you sit down and you think, why would you, wouldn't you, because cancer is such a terrible thing and it takes people's money and so on and so forth, particularly the treatment, wouldn't you want to make these things cheap? No. These guys continue to hike prices on these things.
The fact that
etc.
sanitary towels are not free is already your answer.
And it just speaks to my point that these companies don't care. So they'll send out that statement, but don't believe what you read.
And they really won't. And the thing is, and that's why it's people keep saying that there's no cure for cancer, or there's no ways of beating it unless you go through the very stringent process of treatment. And everybody will tell you that doctors 9 times out of 10 will keep you in that process because for them it's money. That's why it's such an expensive process. That's why even insurances have now created policies specifically cancer related, because they know at some point, somehow, maybe you'll have a scare or maybe something will happen or whatever. It's such a big industry and people are making money out of making the world sick.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where
That's
it's
what
at.
it is. And
That's
and,
where-
and, you
And
know,
if you're cured, that's a client out the door. No more money.
Industry.
I've been working with this lady. She's trilingual. Arabic, speaks French and English, and she's from Tunis. So she's been visiting me. We've been doing voice training, etc. And she's a cancer patient. So she's been sharing her journey, and it's just like, to your point, Noni, they want to keep people sick so they can drain and extract whatever it is that they have financially. And we have to open our eyes to such things. And that's why I keep telling people that you look at sugar, right? Sugar is everywhere. One of the things that I did for myself was, certain things I'm going to stop consuming. But I've learned that companies deliberately put certain things in our food so that we can get to a point of ailment and being sick, so that we can start going to these hospitals and they drain whatever money that we have.
It's one big cycle. Anything that's got to do with pharmaceuticals nje, you can nidlala ngathi. Tina, we're going back to our roots. I'm gonna go and goopa my plants there in the lallies and futa and steam and that's it.
Yeah, we basically-
Lento yokuthi I'm going to get painkillers. Keep your painkillers. I'll make my own there in the lallies
definitely.
if need be.
That
But
is
I mean, it's
crazy.
painful, like you're saying. Like it literally drains your money. I mean, James Van Der Beek passed away recently. The actor who was on Dawson's Creek, he had cancer, and the family had even put out a statement that they financially it was literally draining them. Can you imagine, as somebody who was such a big actor who affected so many people's lives? He got to a point where he couldn't afford his own life, couldn't afford cancer treatment that drained them completely as a family. And then he still ended up passing away even after they had spent so much money on the treatment.
Yep, 100%. Speaking of money, it is the 24th, right? Today is the 24th of February.
23rd, no, 24th, you're right, yes.
24th. And tonight is the budget speech. So by the time you watch this, it will be
Welele.
2 days after the budget speech.
Welele.
Right. But I want to read a couple of things. This is titled The Deepening Cost of the Living Crisis. Where to from here for South Africans? So South Africans are in a deepening cost of living crisis. Households are being forced to make painful choices every month as electricity, water, food, and education costs rise faster than what they earn. Wages are not keeping up with inflation, job creation is weak, and infrastructure is failing. You look at low-income families, they are now spending around 40% or more of their income just on basic necessities. As a result, many people are cutting back on non-essentials and relying more on debt. So now it creates the cycle, right, of financial pressure. So according to the Competition Commission's Cost of Living report, electricity prices have risen by 68% and water by 50% in the past 5 years. So this is compared to the overall 28% inflation. So what that entails is that everything else in the past 5 years has went up by 28%. Water, electricity, it's a different story. So in the past 5 years, electricity has went up by 68%, water by 50%, right? And according to the January 2026 report from the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group, low-income workers are spending over 50% of their earnings, sometimes more than 60%. And this is on transport and electricity. So for someone who earns about 4,800 a month, that leaves only about 1,900 for everything else. And this includes food. So that's over 1,000 Rand short of what is needed for a decent diet. And it forces many people to rely on debt to just get by. And I suppose my question for you guys is, at what point did the rising bills hit you and, make you rethink your budget? And also, how has it changed how you live your life on a daily basis?
For me, COVID, that was a big change in process for me. That's when I started re-looking at finances because, one, I wasn't working, so I needed to count my pennies a little bit more than what I was doing prior. Had to downsize, had to move into a smaller place because financially couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
But also over and above that, it was also then, okay, what are the options? And at the time when we moved, because we were staying in a townhouse where everything was basically just built to us, water and electricity. We then, again, having to look at, okay, what are we paying for, what are we not paying for? We moved into a different place, another townhouse, but there at least there was prepaid water and electricity, which made it easier for me to manage it, to then say, hey, Lisa, this is how much we've got for the month. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's things like that where you start looking and saying, okay, cool. Are we being charged the right amount of money? Because that's another conversation. Because City of Joburg, I don't know where your math is, but your math is not mathing, okay? And I say this confidently because I've seen the difference between just getting a bill from the municipality and also then paying prepaid. Why is yours 3 times more than what I was paying when I was... Do you know what I mean? But so much so that the electricity units also don't even last as long as they were supposed to because people were complaining about that last year as well. I saw somebody posted something yesterday. It wasn't really a meme, but it was a post from the newspaper clippings from like a ShopRite.
Yeah.
Where they'll say the different prices of the brands. And I think in 2014 I think it was 10 years ago if I'm not mistaken, rice was 13 Rand for a bag. 2004 or 2014? I can't remember. It was one of the two. But either way, the rice price was 12 Rand 99. Go to Checkers today.
Rice again, guys.
The price today is probably sitting at around like 50 Rand.
And what are we looking at? Tastic?
Yeah.
2 kg or what?
2 kg. The 2 kg was 12 Rand 99. I just need to double check that thing, but I think it was either 10 years ago or it was 20 years ago. But the difference in prices from 12 Rand 99, you're now paying 50.
More than 3 times.
Something. It's almost 3 times the increase in the 10-year span. People,
That's
and
ridiculous.
it's the same product. Nothing has changed. the
saying-
same 2 kilograms.
It's not fast absorbing this one.
Nothing has changed. The same brand that it's been for years. So that's one of the things that have also kind of changed in the way that I used to live as well. So obviously needing to like negotiate how I buy things. I used to be one of those people where we would do groceries once a month. Go in, buy everything you need. If you finish it halfway through the month, I was just born. You'll see it next month, Now, I buy as and when we need stuff. This thing of going... Because I got to a point, I remember there was one time I went in to buy groceries and I spent almost 10,000 Rand on food. And I said, this is absolutely ridiculous. Just refilling and restocking.
For how many people?
Obviously, well, there's 4 of us in the house. Well, you don't count my nephew because he doesn't really eat much. So I would rather than say 3 adults. You know what I mean? But...
but that's
10,000.
No, but then that was 10,000 of things that you're buying because you're buying bigger
I
batches.
see.
So instead of buying like a 500 or
Mayonnaise.
or 250, I'm buying a 1 kilogram because it needs to last. But even that, I sat back and I said, I can't believe I just swiped 10,000 rand at Checkers. I said, I'm not doing this ever again. That's
I'm
when
sure they were shocked. But obviously we're stock feeling. I'm sure they were shocked.
no, the ladies at Checkers, but it's, people come in, carry trolley. You fill up your trolley, you buy everything that you need for the month, and then you just, and it's expensive. You can't tell me that you haven't gone to the store and you've got 1,000 rand, and then you're thinking you're going to buy a lot of things and you walk out with 5 items.
Yeah, that's happened.
Because that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So it was easy for us to get to the 10,000 because we're buying everything that we need.
10,000.
It's traumatic.
So after that, I swiped that 10K. I said, I'm not doing this ever again. We're buying as and when we need
That's
it.
so
we go.
traumatic.
If the
that's
coffee's
traumatic.
finished, okay, I'll buy it today. I'm not buying it for another 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. You guys better ease up on what you're drinking because it's not cheap. And if somebody wants something specific, I can now please go and sort yourself out.
Yeah, no,
because
that-
ain't no way. And that's why sometimes I sympathize with heads of households and the breadwinners because guningi.
Yeah, no. Groceries are crazy.
And that's why sometimes I worry. They'd even put up a new mandate. I think it was 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, of the new labor laws of what the rate per hour is for minimum wage.
Yeah.
I think it was at 375 rand or something like that. I was like 375 rand. So that person, in essence, if they work a normal work day, 8 to 5, and maybe they're only working 20 days in the month, this is a normal person. Obviously, different wages are different. If you have a domestic worker, maybe they come once a month or whatever. Can you imagine how much you're paying them for that? If they come, in essence, the average worker is probably coming in at around 4,800 or whatever. That's the minimum wage. They still have to they have to take a taxi to get to work. They need to buy groceries. They need to buy electricity. They need to pay for water. That's why emakasi people are not paying for water and electricity because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
The minimum wage is too low, and the cost of living is way too high.
Dude,
It's way too high.
I remember stepping into a shop and I left with 5 items. But I had paid so much money.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I had never been one to complain. But I thought, yeah. I remember even calling my wife and I said, babe, I'm never coming. Because I actually thought it was the shop that I went to.
Yeah.
No, they're all
But
the
then I
same.
sat down.
They're all the same.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
Now they're all the same.
Then I sat down, I'm like, no, it's not the shop. Like,
No.
guys,
Oh, manai.
Nah.
yesterday even, like last night, right, just got home because my phone died. I wanted to buy the things as I left here, but then my phone died and I didn't have anything to charge it with. So then I went home, charged my phone, and then I left to just buy a couple of things. So my wife and I, we love fruits. And I know, like, once I don't see any fruits, then I know that there's certain stuff missing in the house. So I just quickly open the fridge and see, okay, what's happening? What do we have? What don't we have? And I'll go to the shops to buy whatever. Bruh. Icon. Oh my 5, 6, 7 items and you're spending so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, man.
Grocery is expensive. I also started paying attention to how much petrol is. That's another thing I started paying attention. I never used to do that. Me, I just swipe and say, however much per liter I get, as long as I get the cash up. Now I'm very cognizant to say, why is this petrol station cheaper than that one? Why is this one more expensive? I've actually got to that point because I want to get more for my rands. It's not
100%.
it's not that the brand is different. I'm not going after brands. No, I'm going after how many can I get more liters out of this 100
What
rands?
value?
Do you know?
Yeah, that's...
And also, because I drive a diesel car, and the fact that load shedding started happening, then diesel started the price for diesel started increasing. Whereas before, diesel was much cheaper than petrol. And
Now they're
then
more or
now, it's diesel's more expensive than petrol now, purely because of load shedding, because everybody was using generators and the diesel price, because increase of demand, so it became more expensive.
Yeah.
All in a space of 5 years, mind you. COVID, load shedding,
Yo.
zonke, everything happening.
Inflation.
Since 2020, we've been in the pits.
Yeah.
Nothing was the same.
Nothing was the same, dude. 100%. And like I even stopped because I used to love just like going and buying myself stuff, right? Like I stopped that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Bro, you know what I realized today?
Yeah.
Because we're shooting inside a mall.
Yeah.
And we're passing the store. I'm like, And like, when was the last time I actually took it upon myself to buy myself clothes? Like, I know I'm gonna go buy myself like a couple of items or whatever. I can't even remember, bruh. It's been such a long time.
You're raising such an important thing, you know, because even with clothing, so I used to love designer. Like I'd go I need this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? Wait to get guy. No, yeah, check us in at that shop.
Yeah.
I'll be saying
Pick and pay clothing.
Unique.
Yeah.
And now I go to Unique, and I'm like, okay, Unique, and I let 60% off. And then I just go ham.
Yes.
And if you're gonna judge me,
no one's judging you.
listen, you're not living my life. You know what I mean?
We don't even, personally, this is just what I think. I don't think we even live in that society that allows for judgment to even occur. Because I feel like there was a time where it kind of felt like, but now I just feel like it's at that point, you know, like where the inflation is just, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
You know, it's everybody's language now. It's in everybody. It's affecting everyone. It's not even a thing, type thing. So, this thing is.
But I'm curious to find out from you guys, right? With the current predicament that we're all facing, inflation and cost of living being too high, etc. Are there some things that you guys still don't compromise on?
Yeah.
Let me see. What do I not compromise on? I don't know. I think for me, it would. You can always find different products of food at different shops. I think it would maybe be health for me. And I know I'm gonna sound like a snob because not everybody has the opportunity.
Talk about it, girl.
But I say this in the sense that, like, whether you like it or not, there's certain things, and I've got an example. So I was on medical aid, ne? And my mom, because my mom has high blood pressure, she needs to have certain medications or whatever the case is. So the doctor at the time had prescribed her to have certain medications, and she needed to get these specific brands that they had given to her. Right. Then again, COVID happened. Finances got a bit wobbly.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, you know what? None of us have been in the hospital. Let's just pause this thing for a moment. I know it was bad timing because, you know, anything can happen. But I was obviously scared during the time because I was like, if anything were to happen and she needs to go to a hospital, I'm stressed. She can't go to a public hospital, whatever, you know. But then she was then forced, because she still needs the high blood medication, she needed to go to the clinic. She went to the clinic. The medication she was getting at the clinic, she couldn't get the same brand because that's not what they were offering. They said, because we are a public clinic, we can only prescribe this type of medication, but it does the same thing.
So it's a generic.
It was a generic more than the brands that my mom was getting. She got sick. That medication that she was prescribed at the clinic made her sick, to the point where I purposely then had to then say, I don't care, this clinic thing is not working. Let's just pay for you to go to a doctor, get the prescription. If it means we need to go and pay more money for the medication, rather you pay more, just so that we can get out of this space of, okay, cool, now we're back on medical aid, you can then get the brands that you want. But the free medication made her sick. So for me, unfortunately, I'm not going to play games on that. As broke as I am, I'll make sure medical aid is paid for.
Yeah.
Because there's also so many instances and personal instances that I know of, which I won't say now because it's sensitive information, but there's been plenty of people that we all know in this room that could have been saved if they'd gone to a private hospital,
100%.
but because they went into the public system, they didn't get the health that they needed, and they ended up suffering and they ended up dying because they weren't affected or they weren't helped at that point in time.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. I know a lot of people can't afford it. And maybe that's also why a lot of insurance companies are coming up with like cheaper options. Like I know Dis-Chem has like a medical aid that's much cheaper, where you can get like better health options as opposed to going to a public system, for you to at least be able to see a GP and maybe even have like a hospital plan or whatever the case is. Yeah. If you can try to pay that 400-500 rand a month, please try and do it. It's much better opportunity as opposed to then getting into the system and then dying because of negligence.
Yeah.
I know 2 people who died because of negligence.
Sure. Sech, what about you?
Yo, bruh, for me, it's water, bruh. Like tap water and like buying water, like bottled water. That's one thing.
And I thought I was a snob.
I can't compromise there, dog. Like, Yeah, because I just genuinely love water. And like the taste, that tap water. Into ring, no matter how broke I am, bro. I'm gonna try and get that 30 rand.
Do you know, funny enough, the people I know who complain and they have this comparison to the taste of water, majority of them are people who grew up outside of Johannesburg. Because the water outside of Johannesburg, maybe the tap water is not 100%.
Yeah.
I grew up with that.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Johannesburg where the tap water was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So I'm okay opening the tap and drinking from the tap.
No.
I can't.
In
You
fact,
know?
I stop anybody who pours water from the tap, and I'm like,
Really?
are you really gonna drink that?
Me,
you
I
still
do it
do?
all the time. I still do it now. I fill it up in the tap. I put my water bottle back in the fridge. I go to the gym. I take that one. I mean, I'll drink bottled water when I'm out.
Yeah.
But
Yo.
when I'm at home, tap water, it still does this. I still cook with the same water. What's the difference? If I'm gonna cook with it, if I'm gonna have coffee with it, why can't I drink it?
Yeah.
Are you gonna cook with bottled water?
Yes.
No, chelete. When
I cannot chill it. I'm broke. But that's what I'm saying, though. That's my, like, I don't compromise when it comes to that, you know? And that's the one thing that I can think about. Because, like, what you were saying about products, like, even with products, bro, there's this other product that I used to use, bro. But times were good at the time.
I hear you.
Yeah, days were very nice. That thing, I forgot. Bionike. Yeah, like, they had this, had that thing, but it's amazing, though. On my skin, like, it just feels good. And for the whole day, wabo. Marakebo ma 320 wabo 400.
Expensive.
It's really expensive. So no chinana la thola nyana ke so benyana wabo. Ke kgone ho itlotsa ke be sharp wabo, because I don't have sensitive skin. I just preferred it over a lot of products because of how it just felt on my skin.
And there's people out there who have sensitive
Yo.
skin. There's a friend of mine who spends close to 1,000 rand a month on face products, and she's not like a makeup girlie. She's just a normal girl who she's got allergies.
She just has
and her
sensitive
allergies
skin.
say you can't use.
You can't be out here.
You can't out here.
Or whatever.
Yeah, you can't just use the normal one. You must, the VSOP is the
Yo,
one.
I know it's tough though. When you need special project king, what do you get? Product. But I mean, if that's your non-compromise, then I guess it is. At least have that luxury to be able to be like, okay, this month I can't get this thing. I get like a Nivea, and I'll be fine. But yeah, water for me is where it's at.
So what do you cook with?
Kayona.
You cook with bottled water.
With bottled water.
Not Akwele or
Yeah.
like this one that you refill with, like purified water.
Oh yeah.
So you go to like
Checkers.
a
I
Food
have
Lovers,
yeah.
and then you refill.
Yeah, refill a tank. Ke na le
So
Jojo
so so when you need to cook, you have to pick up that 5.
Oh no, I
5
get
liter.
in a tap.
Oh, okay.
It's
So
like a
so
tab.
you purified your tab.
Yeah.
Okay. No, purification is a different conversation.
Yeah.
Because again, that's something you're basically taking the water that I'm drinking, and then
Yeah.
you just purifying it a little bit further.
Oh no, you thought I'm talking about
Yes,
Akwele?
that's
Oh,
why I'm
no.
like, oh.
Oh no, that's WWE.
If you have a tap purifier, it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
That's also still fine.
I think for me, it's my bills, guys.
Your what?
My bills. Yeah, whatever it is that I need to pay at the end of the month. I've never defaulted on any of my bills, and I think maybe it's a trauma response because you grow up and you look at your role models, aunts, whatever the case may be, mom, etc., and how it was so tough for them growing up,
100%.
and how they found themselves in the cycle of debt. By Akurikolodo, Machonis, etc. You're like, yo. I don't want to do that. So there have been moments, particularly last year, with school, etc. Especially when they were demanding whatever it is that they wanted me to pay at the time, which was ridiculous. And I considered so many things. But I just stuck to my guns and I said, you know what, it's fine. I'm gonna pay my bond. I'm gonna pay my life covers, my funeral covers. Yes, it's tough, but we'll see where it's at. I'd rather, not have that lunch money, that I'd spend every single day. But if that is taken care of,
Covered.
then I'm happy.
Yeah. I mean, those things are important because, again, you never know what's going to happen. And And I know some people say that insurance is a scam. I mean, partly it is a scam, if I have to be honest. But there's also a benefit to it because when it does pay out, it actually does help you. And we know as black people, funerals are not cheap.
Yeah.
So you're gonna sit back and say, I cannot chelete this month. I'm gonna default on this thing because it's only this amount of money until somebody passes away, and then bashibile win. And the problem with funerals is that you gotta pay for it now.
Yeah,
There's no I'm gonna pay next
Yeah.
month or in 2 months. No, the person died today.
Yeah.
So say you must pay catering today. You must pay for the box today. You must pay for the
Everything.
mortuary today.
Yeah.
They
And
co-
I suppose like we ought to look at like people's experiences, because we encounter a lot of people and people share what they share with us. And I remember specifically like this guy who I don't know what was going on with him, but for some reason he decided I'm canceling my medical aid. I am canceling my car insurance. And it was that month
Just.
that he got into an accident.
Yeah.
It was that month.
It's always those ones. That's why I don't understand why people do this thing. Once they paid off their cars and then they cancel the insurance. Why? It was just because it was a prerequisite for you to get your insurance to get your car doesn't mean they are together. They are not together. Your insurance is there for when you are reckless.
Yeah. It'll wait for that, bruh.
Yeah.
Or I cancel and then or medical aid. You cancel
yes.
the medical aid and then
So I look at such things and I'm like, yo, you know what? I'd rather we don't have date night, my wife and I, for that month.
But I guess it's
Yeah.
also in the communication. You guys can have that chat and be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's tricky this month. We'll make up for it next month or we'll figure it out another time. But for
6
now,
months'
let's
time.
kind of live within our means. And I think a lot of people don't know how to live within their means. And that's also why you'll find like a lot of South Africans are getting into such huge gambling debts now because they're trying to offset what they need to pay for by, okay, like 100 randa and see what but the gambling is now increasing because it's all sitting on your phone. You're not going to a casino anymore. You don't have to drive somewhere.
yeah.
Everything is on your phone. And
Yeah.
it's just skyrocketing and it's becoming such a big problem because people are trying to cover for cost of living.
Speaking of gambling,
expensive.
I saw a story. I should have saved it actually to read it for you guys. But it's a guy who was in debt. So he was owing one of the banks, I think about 150,000. So this was his credit facility. And then there was a glitch with the bank. And for some reason, money was loaded onto his credit facility. And apparently that guy saw that. He took the opportunity.
And he used it.
He went to Betway.
I choose the because it's not his money.
Now he owes the bank 2.3
Yes,
million.
million. Yeah, because let's
What's all that,
all
man? So it's
Probably from me. Probably from yeah.
imagine. All because he wanted to try and double up what he had gotten. Oh, guys,
Thought
please.
here was a quick escape.
No.
Let me make my money quick.
It's not a quick escape,
But
guys.
life does not work that way.
Doesn't work like at some point. And do you know what the sad part is about bills? Even in death, they will follow you because you can leave your thing and say, "Oh, akapatalan twena 1, 2, 3," and then whatever happens, maybe it's your time, and you pass away tomorrow. You've left that debt to your family. It doesn't disappear. You've now left people who were none the wiser to deal with your mess because you've created it yourself. So even that guy, 2 million, even if something happens to him, maybe unali, I don't know what he has, but if he dies today, that is going to follow through onto either his wife or his children, and they have to pay for it.
Chances.
That's the unfortunate thing. Please think about your families, guys, when you guys are gambling.
especially
Kalokoba.
Betway. Hey guys.
Yo, that aviator is going to crash all your money.
Yeah. Noni, you just mentioned, and I guess I'm being an opportunist. You just mentioned family right now, and you reminded me of what I preempted last week, and the context was obviously them daughter sisters.
Yes.
So to inform, some of you and remind others, as we speak, Annelem daughter and Timbisam daughter, they're not speaking.
Yes.
So these are sisters, very successful, both in the media industry. In fact, Annele had her wedding celebrations sometime last year.
Yeah.
And she was not there.
Oh, oh,
You didn't know?
You didn't know that, right? But really, like, that's not the focus of this conversation. I mean, what happens or what happened is none of our business.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm focused on is what their dynamic represents, right? You have two sisters, both in the public eye, both accomplished, both navigating life, career, and public identity, right? And then somewhere along the way, silence enters the relationship. And really, that's where the real conversation begins. And I want to start by asking you guys, is blood thicker than boundaries?
Oh. I'll say no, personally. Because humans are inherently selfish. This is just a fact. Whether you like to believe it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, everybody's got a degree of being selfish, right? And family members more so because they know you're not going anywhere. They've got that thing, whether you like it or not, I'm going to be dealing with this person for the rest of my life, right? And I think it's important to also understand that just because this person you can't remove them because they're your family, doesn't mean you have to deal with them. They're not necessarily somebody that you are forced to, because your mental health is also very important and your state of mind is also very important. Whether this person has been there for you or whether they've betrayed you or however they've affected you, you are not forced to hone a relationship with somebody who you feel has gone against every moral being of your fiber. Do you know what I mean? And I can say this, whether it's your sister, whether it's your brother, whether it's your nephew, whether it's a cousin, it could even be your parents. And I'm an advocate for this because there are also some very toxic parents out there, whether we like to admit it or not. Everybody's got this moral standing point. You're going to, but it's your mom, but it's your dad. Yeah, but they can also be detrimental to your mental health as a human being. And you need to then decipher, at what point am I going to accept this behavior from this person just because they're my parent? At some point, they need to respect you back. I know there's that level of, you must respect your parents. Yes, that's fine. But also respect me as well as your child. What makes you think that you can do whatever you want just because you brought me into this world? I didn't ask to be here. I didn't win the lottery and say, okay, they are my parents, kabakupa. No, I didn't choose to be here. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you've got the right to also disrespect me as a human being. At some point, we need to have that level of, where are my boundaries? And if you cross them, I'm also going to say to you, I can't do this with you anymore, and cut it off. And that's why I'm not mad at people who don't speak to their parents, because there is a reason and there was an accumulation of behavior for us to get to that point.
Yeah. Push up.
Yeah.
Oh. I want how sharp. So what I wanted to say with that, when you asked that question, I don't know this is happening between them daughter sisters, but the main thing for me is, I remember Tyler Perry once came out and spoke about this, and he was speaking to his success and when he needed to create or have those boundaries with his family. And I was trying to remember that. And for me, I would say, I don't think, before I heard that, I wouldn't say there were boundaries. And to that, I wouldn't say there's blood is thicker than boundaries. I'd say my siblings are thicker than boundaries. And I think that's something that I had made it my thing without even realizing. But realizing the importance of what it means to have those boundaries, because at the same time you don't want to necessarily, it depends on what type of energy they're creating or cultivating for you, you know? I noticed even with my own mother, like there was a time where she got to a point where she realized that I don't really identify where negativity is being rehearsed, you know? Sure. Like if something is negative and like you keep on saying it, like get disconnect and fit, like it's just something that I do, and due to her own paying attention or whatever, it's not a conversation that I had with her, you know, that I just don't respond well to that, you know? So there's certain things that I know, Hori, if there's a certain season that I may be going through or whatever the case, which people do I need? It has nothing to do with you being my family. I know that I need to be away from this type of person, this type of energy. And if you so happen to be my family, tough.
It is what it is.
It's a boundary that I've set for myself. You know what I'm saying? To say, Hore, I know I'm in a season where I can't be listening to certain things. You can't be rehearsing or cursing the same things or whatever the case might be. So I'm going to create that distance, which is a boundary to me. You understand? So for me, it really is a thing of like just staying true to who you are, because at the end of the day, you don't want to compromise the person that you choose to become versus the person that you were when you were like with that like sibling or family member or whatever the case. If the an example that I can use, or a prime example that I usually use, is my childhood friends, you know, like Bahai. Like I created that boundary long time ago because I realized how I always had to dig deep into my past for me to fit in the conversations and relate, you know. And I'm like, I've worked so hard not to have those conversations. Why am I doing this, Wabo? So I had to create that boundary and be like, I get high majita sharp, but which is fine. It works for me. So if that so happens to be in the vicinity of my family, then tough. It's
Then tough.
I guess what I'm getting from you guys is that you can love somebody and still distance yourself
Yes.
100%.
from them and not feel bad.
100%.
You know, I don't know, but I moved to Johannesburg in 2019. And for some reason, I started having anxiety. Never used to have anxiety. And it then turned into an anxiety attack. And it takes a lot to do like the inner work, as you guys know. And I think when I got into that, there were pockets of moments where I realized that, okay, certain people would like induce like this anxiety. And as a result, they would see like when I would create space, they would see it as though I did something or I want nothing to do with them. But it was never that. It was a thing of, to your point, like if I'm in a certain season, there's a certain type of energy that I need. Anything else I'm going to just push to the side, because then if I have all of this in my vicinity, in my space, then it's really just going to rub me off the wrong way. But I sit down now and I reflect about like my journey with anxiety. It was because of certain people, and those people most of the time would be family. To your point, the mindset is that Cosmo's my family, Shechaba's my family. They're not going anywhere, so I can do whatever it is that I want to do. But it's precisely why, you know, Abel and Cain found themselves in that situation. You know what I mean? When you don't discern certain things, I think you create danger for yourself. You know, and I think I got to a point where I was like, I'm going to take a bit of a pause, a bit of a moment. Whether you understand it or not, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's a time when I had, and it pisses me off because these people, they'll then do certain things to you, and then at night they are sleeping peacefully.
Snoring.
And
on
when
the
you are
third ring.
tossing and turning. But I remember this one time, dude, I had such a panic attack. Like I had never had such an attack in my life. It was so bad. It's when I was still living at Big Tree in Jackal Creek. It's 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. That attack was so bad, I jumped out of bed, right? Literally thought I was dying. I had to leave the door, like the kitchen door, the one that you entered the place with. I had to leave it open. So the security door was locked, but the door was open. And why I left it open, the conversation I had with myself was, should it happen that I die or pass out or whatever the case may be, then someone can find me. Somebody can see because the door is open, and then they can find me. That's how bad the attack was.
That's bad.
In fact, my wife would even say, like, there were moments where, like, we would be sleeping, and I'd just, like, jump in my sleep. I was like, hey, babe, are you okay? And then I just go back to sleep. I don't have those attacks anymore. But that came with me putting distance with certain things and certain people, and saying, you know what, this is not my portion, and so I'm not going to take any part in this. Sometimes, because humanity doesn't escape anybody, sometimes you feel bad because you think this is your family member. But I think your sanity is way more important than anything else.
Yeah, you know, bro, I'll just add this. Like I was saying, like for me, like my siblings are like my closest friends or relationships, right? But what I saw or what was necessary for those relationships is for me to teach them how to treat me, you know? Because I feel like sometimes the family relationship is almost treated as if it should be automatic. Because we know these people, they know me, I know them or whatever. I started looking at the relationships that I have, that I got to choose myself. That, okay, the money is going to be in my life and whatever. And I looked at the things or the dynamics that rather made it easier or possible for me to be able to teach them or like how to react to certain things or whatever the case. Because I never had the privilege of, if I'm frustrated or I'm having, like I'm feeling down or whatever, but when I was staying with a friend of mine, I would do that. Whether I'm feeling low or whatever, I would just go to my room and I'm not there. And he just had to deal with it, whether he liked it or not. He just had to deal with it. And then maybe 2 weeks later, I'm 2 weeks ago, I guess a sharp or whatever the case might be. With family, with me, I didn't have those privileges. So it's almost as if I never really got the opportunity to express those type of things when I was not feeling okay. Like if already are cheeky or whatever the case, you just have to be strong and just live through it and be fine. Wabo. But now I at least allow myself to be in the same dynamics that I would be with my friend or friendships that maybe if it's going to a show, going to a festival, attending a comedy show or going to Sumo or whatever the case, that environment allowed for me to at least have a better relationship with my siblings, to at least also tell them how to respond to certain things. Ha ke se sharp ke behavior jwang, ha ke le sharp ke behavior jwang, if vele ke supposed or if vele ke sa etse eng, then I'm able to at least teach them how to receive my energy.
Yeah.
So I feel like in most cases or most instances, it's such that education is not apparent, you know. Like it's like almost as if you should just get it, you're my sibling, and it's like no. It's not. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And you know, earlier when I was saying good humans are inherently selfish, it comes to that as well, because they'll also because they know you, your family members, they'll also gauge good this one, I can do this to them and they won't complain. Or I can ask them for money and they're gonna give it to me anyway. This one only hero complex or watula or with 1, 2, 3. Just because we have different personalities doesn't mean those attributes need to be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think it's important for us to be able to set those boundaries and to speak up, because if you don't speak up, that's when the animosity starts to rise, and you know you end up resenting family gatherings because you don't want to deal with the mess. But if you had spoken up once before, yes, they're gonna be like, yeah, that's fine, but also understand because I've now laid the boundary, and if you cross it, don't act like I didn't tell you. Because you end up carrying the grudge and you end up carrying the weight of how you're feeling purely because you're not saying it. And that's where the anxiety and the panic attacks come in from, because we're not communicating our feelings to the people and the hurt that they've created for us. We're not expressing it, and we're burdening ourselves. That time loyo muntu okhlukumezilulele, he's on his third dream and doesn't understand how they've actually affected you. But the moment you lay a boundary, yes, they'll be angry, but it's fine because now they know not to step to you like that.
Yeah. You know, as you're speaking, I'm reminded of this verse. It's Genesis 4, verse 8. It says, "Now Cain said to his brother Abel, 'Let's go out to the field.' While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him." Right? And I think about this and I'm like, boundaries are important, because this guy didn't have a boundary, and that's because he was with his sibling. And so we often think that with siblings, with family, let's not have any boundaries. And as a result, they went to the field, right? And when they got to the field, he was killed. So it taught me that it's important to discern when to keep distance, and that sometimes it's important not to give proximity, because I've learned that whatever has no boundary has no protection. Because there was no boundary, this guy was killed. And you might find that again with the panic attacks, no boundaries, people Makhubela, as you said, and now somebody else might not be as tough as me, and then they go kill themselves, or they take their life, or whatever the case may be, and you'll never know. But if you were to sit down, ask this person, hey dude, why did you actually kill yourself? They'll point out it was family. Family is or certain people, certain relationships, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic. I had a question for you guys, another one, and that is reconciliation always the Christian response? Do we? So, in other words, if I forgive you, doesn't mean that I must reconcile with you.
My response is based on what you had said, because you've mentioned the Christian way. If we're talking just as human beings, because not everybody is religious, if we're talking just as human beings, I would say if you're going to forgive the person, give them an opportunity to at least rectify their behavior, and you can reconcile from that perspective. For me, I think the cutoff comes on if I've given you too many
chances,
opportunities, and you still take advantage, even though you keep apologizing because you keep thinking, I'm sorry, and then okay, there's only so many stories that you have left in my book. So my reconciliation, I think, comes in that I will reconcile with you if I see the remorse.
Okay.
But if you take advantage of that reconciliation, that's when I will then not do it again.
So it comes with T's and C's.
Yes. Definitely. My T's and C's are, I need you asking for forgiveness. Your forgiveness comes in you're saying, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But then you do it again.
Sure.
What are we doing here? Kidnap Popeye? No. We can't keep playing the same game. I'm still a human being with feelings. You can't take advantage of my kindness purely because you know I'm going to forgive you. Because then there's no reason to reconcile, because you don't respect me. You don't respect my feelings. You don't respect the fact that you've hurt me. You don't respect the fact that I have boundaries. You don't respect the fact that I'm also a human being who doesn't want to be taken advantage of. So if you're going to keep continuously doing the same thing that we've spoken about, Shem, sorry, we're not coming back. But I will reconcile if I can see the remorse and I can see change in behavior.
Yeah, I share the same sentiments. I think on the one side, I'm conflicted because I believe that you're not deep if you can quote it, but you're deep if you can live it. And I speak from a Christian background, right, to say love is the foundation in all that we do. 100%. So that's the one side. But the other side, and I've seen people like this, I've met people like this. I'm a guy chance. And you express to them that, Noni, I don't like this. And they're like, okay, I'm not going to do this again. And then they happen to do it again. And you're like, hey, Sech, I said I don't like this. And they're like, okay, cool. And then they do it again. And then now I feel like it's a decision to say, when are you showing your true colors? You do not... What's that? There's no way. Is that my phone? Probably the lawyers. When you don't have my best interests at heart. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to love you from a distance, whatever that looks like. But I've found that even with that, people will try and creep in into your life. And I speak as somebody who's currently like in that situation with a particular person whom I had decided that, you know what, I when I get long now from a distance. And you can see like the sincerity in their approach and their efforts and so on and so forth. And I sit down and I'm like, okay, now what? You show me your true colors, but now you're coming again like with the sincerity, as you said, Noni. And it's like, what the hell do I now do there?
You see, the thing is with the sincerity, you also need to make that person aware. I guess it depends on you. If I have to be very honest, I don't think there's a right and wrong answer in this. It depends on your relationship with that person. It depends on how much you do care for them and love them, and whether you find value in bringing them back into your life.
Yeah.
Because whether you like it or not, we keep people in our lives because they do something for us. You do something for them. This is the way of the world,
Kifafi.
right? So if you are going to see sincerity in that person who's come back and you think, oh, okay, but this person, at least also, when they're not doing this one thing, they're actually genuinely a good person, then you give it a chance. But then that person knows they're on thin ice because you've set the tone now to say,
Right.
do you know what I mean? But I don't know, like I said, it varies from different people. Some people would be like, that's the final countdown out. You know, and then others will think twice and say, okay, but we still grow because we make mistakes when we're young, you know. So you also think about that. Say, okay, at what age were they disrespecting me? Have they grown? Are they a better person? Have they matured? Have they changed? Are they the same person that they were 10 years ago? You know, you weigh those things up and you decide. But it's all in the relationship that you have and the value that person brings for you.
It's interesting. Sech, you want to say something? Or do you want to close?
Yeah, bro. No, I just want to read something from an urban poet. And it's also tying back to what we were talking about last week with the killing of Thingy. Isaac. Yeah. It says, yesterday I got a call like from my dog, like 101, said that they killed his only son because of insufficient funds. He was sobbing, he was mobbing, way belligerent and drunk, talking out of his head, philosophizing on what the Lord had done. And I'm going back to you talking about it as a Christian way. He said, can you pray for me? It's been a messed up day for me. I know you are anointed. Show me how to overcome. He was looking for some closure, hoping I could bring him closer to the spiritual. My spirit do know better, but I told him, I can't sugarcoat the answer to you. This is how I feel. If somebody killed my son, that means someone is getting killed.
Sure.
You know, and then goes on to say, tell me what you do for love, loyalty, and passion of all the memories collected, moments you could never touch.
Yeah.
You know, Kendrick Lamar. But,
Never preface that by saying by an urban poet.
and get it, that's what Claudia called him. But I say this.
Wow, you got me. I would lie. Shout out.
I quote that to say, Jorge, for me, when it comes to the spectrum of forgiveness, there are certain things that it's like when we were talking about petty crime and all of that, there are those things that feel very petty and you can choose to either forgive or not forgive. But if there's a measurement or a degree at which someone does something to you and that forgiveness actually does take, like it uproots you from the person that you are to be able to extend that forgiveness, it changes the conversation. Like, for instance, when you were making an example, Ori, Chava, I don't like when you do that. It's something that you can still have another response to the next time, if I can put it that way. You know, but if I do something that's going to completely change, maybe even the direction, like, for instance, I hurt your toe, like I go now has a balance.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's like, how do you then navigate the like forgiveness? You know what I'm saying? And for me, it's like, if I were to be honest with myself, I think forgiveness, it's one of the things that I struggle with for myself. Like that's why how no reconcile. It's like, because on the spectrum of forgiveness, that's why I'm making emphasis on that to say, okay, there are certain things that are easier to forgive for me than there are certain things to be able to actually extend that thing you're forgiver. So I don't think I'm at a position of privilege to be like, I'll be able to reconcile when something is done to me, you know? Like it is something that I'll be like, I will have to do that analysis with myself and be like, have I reached, because with what she was saying also, it's like, forgiveness is an act. It's like it's action, right? It's not like what you say. It's not like you know. Is this person even in their capacity able to commit to the action of showing you forgiveness? You know, and that's where for me the whole reconciliation of it is a struggle. You know, and that's why you know, like other people who probably a lot of people who also profess their faith or whatever, they will say, Hori, in a sense of someone who's done them wrong or whatever, and that person passes, and they have this elongated difficulty of having to forgive them because that person is no longer that person doesn't have the capacity to show their forgiveness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's really like a touch and go. You know, like when it comes to the reconciliation part of it. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I don't have issues with forgiveness.
Yeah.
In fact, I have grace in that regard, right? In fact, I was sending somebody a message today, and then they did something petty. We fought, this person and I. I didn't like what they did, but I then forgave them. So I then thought, you know what? Let me start talking to this person. It's integral that I speak to this person for their sake. And then as I go message them, I realize that this person has unfriended me.
Oh, cancelled.
Dog, like I took a moment actually. I was like, am I sending this message? I ended up sending it.
Did they ask for forgiveness?
No, they
Who
didn't.
wronged who?
But you see, that's the thing. I've learned that forgiveness is not about the person, the next person, or the person on the other side. Because of the anxiety that I would get and the panic attacks and so on and so forth, I then learned it's not about you.
Yeah.
I need to free myself. Somebody said, we are responsible for our own healing. And it's like, it's so messed up because you like mess me up and now I need to go heal. But I did nothing to myself. You did something to me. And so I then learned that forgiveness is not necessarily about the person on the other hand or on the other side, but it's really for me. It's for my sanity, like the attacks, like I said, etc.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've learned that I'm not going to hold anything against I'm not going to do that to myself. Because now
forgiveness, reconciliation. That's
Yeah.
Reconciling, because I can forgive you. I don't have to.
I hear you.
Ooh, and I can do that. Yo, you will think, did you not see me? No, you just don't exist in my sphere anymore.
100%.
You just no longer exist here.
That's the difficult part for me.
Because sometimes it's important to also cut your losses where they need to be cut. People will take advantage of your kindness, unfortunately. Humans are selfish. They want to take. The moment you cut, but umbonile, hey, akasasibulisi. Yeah, ungenzeni. Why ngasakubulisi? Ask you, go back and reflect. But with regards to that, you're right that you are inherently in charge of your own forgiveness 100%. And your own peace, because you're the one who's carrying around the hurt. And I think that forgiveness also comes in, maybe not necessarily with speaking to that person, because it's unfortunate that they've unfriended you. But you can deal with it yourself and let it out. I think what we want is also not to keep it inside.
Yeah.
And that's why I think something like therapy or journaling are very important. Some people don't believe in therapy, but maybe just writing it out and writing out your feelings just to get it out of your system, so that you can also feel like, actually, screw this guy because this person doesn't respect me, and I get it, and it's fine, and I'm letting it go because now I've dealt with my feelings. And I'm no longer allowing it to affect me.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting. Listen, we want to find out from you. Does forgiveness mean reconciliation? And yeah, that is it for this episode of Self-Love. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, to like, to share, and just tell your world about self-love.
Yes.
Until next time.
See you next week.
Cheers.